Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by and welcome to JOYY Inc.'s first quarter 2021 earnings call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After management's prepared remarks, there will be a question and answer session. I'd now like to hand the conference over to your host today, Jane Shi, the company's Senior Manager of Investor Relations. Please go ahead, Jane.
Thank you, operator. Hello, everyone. Welcome to JOYY's first quarter 2021 earnings conference call. Joining us today are Mr. David Xueling Li, Chairman and CEO of JOYY, Ms. Ting Li, our COO, and Mr. Alex Liu, the General Manager of Finance. For today's call, management will first provide a review of the quarter, and then we will conduct a Q&A session. The first quarter 2021 financial results and webcasts of this conference call are available at ir.joyy.xg. A replay of this call will also be available on our website in a few hours. Before we continue, I refer you to our safe harbor statement in our earnings press release, which apply to this call as we will make forward-looking statements. Finally, please note that unless otherwise stated, all figures mentioned during this conference call are in US dollar. I will now turn the call over to our Chairman and CEO, Mr. David Xueling Li. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first quarter 2021 earnings call. We reached another milestone in our product commercialization progress by executing our strategies of globalization through localization and short-form video plus live streaming. During the first quarter, total revenue of JOYY exceeded street expectations and grew by 88.1% year-over-year to $643 million. Especially, revenue from Bigo grew by 92.5% year-over-year to $581 million, with paying user growth by 72.1% year-over-year to 1.67 million. Above all, Bigo's Non-Gaap net income turned positive during this quarter. We have always believed that how much we can harvest in the fall is determined by how much we have sown in the spring, and that's why we need to be long-term thinkers. As mentioned on our last quarter's earnings call, Bigo's achievement today is a result of our persistent execution of long-term business strategies over the past 5 years. Having reached a milestone in commercialization, we remain goal-oriented and long-term focused. We will devote our resources to sharpening our competitive edge and expanding our marketing influence so that we can sustain our growth trajectory for the long haul. At JOYY, we view the social interactivity and the content ecosystem as strategic core that are fundamental to the long-term competitiveness of our products. JOYY has always been on a mission to cultivate an inclusive and global community where everyone can be heard and seen. During the first quarter of 2021, more than 17% of Bigo Live's active users hosted live streaming sessions, and more than 19% of Likee's active users create their own short-form videos. Going forward, leveraging our product metrics, combining short video content with live streaming, we seek to further expand user social connections via our content offerings, facilitate immersive social interactions through live streaming, and help users forge intimate social relationships with one another. We aim to provide the user with a sense of connection, belonging, and the gratification through social interactions, in addition to relaxation and entertainment. At the same time, as mentioned in the last call, we plan to continue augment our localized content ecosystem. Thanks to our products' intrinsic social features, we have accumulated a massive pool of amateur live streamers and content creators, contributing a vast reservoir of user-generated content. By empowering users with a full suite of video production tools, we have eased their way into hosting live streaming sessions and lowered the entry barrier for their content production. By combining user training costs and user incentive programs, we have encouraged more users to reduce original content, thus expanding our pool of grassroots live streamers and content creators continuously. In addition, based on our insights into local users' content preference, we have partnered with gaming companies, TV show producers, and entertainment agencies to attract more high-quality live streamers and content creators to our platform, and introduced an increasing volume of premium content to our content pool. By leveraging the social influence of leading content creators, we have also been able to expand our user base persistently. We believe the high-quality content and the social ecosystem together form the initiate engine propelling our growth for the long term. As such, we have gradually adjusted the product promotion strategy for certain products such as Likee and Hago. As we reduced our advertising spend on those products, we allocated our resources toward the development of our content and the social ecosystem instead. Consequently, this product user base suffered a decline and may experience some fluctuation in the near term. However, we believe that prioritizing advertisement in our content and social ecosystem will improve our user experience and contribute to our long-term competitiveness. We are confident that our strategy adjustment will enable both our product and business to achieve sustainable growth in the long run. For new business initiatives, we discussed on the last call that we would stay attuned to new opportunities in the cross-border e-commerce sector, and that we have made some preliminary explorations in cloud-based audio and video enterprise services. As we continue to explore such new market opportunities, we plan to gradually build up our competitive advantage in our products and technologies. We will provide further updates when our new business initiatives progress to further maturity. Now, let me share with you quarterly updates in each of our core products. During the first quarter, Bigo Live's MAU grew by 9% year-over-year to 29.1 million, while its revenue grew by 106.2% year-over-year. As Bigo Live penetrates deeper into multi-markets, its geographic coverage is becoming increasingly diversified. On a year-over-year basis, revenue from Europe grew by 227.8%, with paying users increasing by 118.9%. Revenue from Eastern Pacific region grew by 147.5%, with paying user increasing by 63.2%. And revenues from the Middle East grew by 46.1%, with paying user increasing by 39.9%. Product-wise, we continue to upgrade Bigo Live's social features to better satisfy the users' demands for social interactions. As a result, in a sequential basis, the total number of users that hosted a live streaming session on Bigo Live increased by 6.5%, with the average time of live streaming session increased by 1.9%. In the quarter, by allocating more screen space to display the background information of hosts and guests on live streams, we have made it much easier for users to initiate simultaneous interactions with multiple parties on live streaming, facilitating more multi-user interactions on the platform. As a result, sequential base, the average viewer time spent in multi-user audio chat rooms and video chat rooms increased by 9.7% and 16.1% respectively. And the user-to-streamer conversation rate in multi-user chat rooms increased by 11.2% in the quarter. In addition, as we further fine-tuned our social interactions feature called Bar, its user penetration rate also increased by 7% sequentially over the last quarter. As part of our efforts to develop a pan-entertainment content ecosystem, we collaborated with the popular Vietnamese TV show Love House and hosted an audio on our platform. Through those auditions, we elected several hosts from Bigo Live to participate in the show, thereby boosting the influence of both our platform and its hosts in the region. Meanwhile, during the Indian government's ban our adjustment to product promotion strategy, Lucky's MAU declined by 12.6% year-over-year to 115 million. However, its revenue maintained a rapid pace of growth, multiplying by 4.2 times year-over-year during the quarter. In particular, on a year-over-year basis, Likee's revenue from the Middle East multiplied by 40.3 times, with paying user increasing by approximately 10 times, while its revenue from the Southeast Asia region multiplied by 1.6 times, with paying user increasing by 1.7 times. Product-wise, we introduced a full-screen format for Likee's short-form videos and further optimized the platform's content recommendation algorithm during the quarters to improve its user experience. At the same time, we provide content producers with more effective data support and markup tools, attracting user usage from about 10% of our professional content creators on a daily basis in the quarter. We have also seen the increased engagement of high-quality KOLs in live streaming activities, as the average daily live streaming sessions organized by KOLs whose active followers were more than 10,000 and 100,000, increasing by 12.8% and 18.5% respectively. In a sequential basis in the quarter, we also refined our recommendation algorithm within the live streaming channel and enhanced trusted network-based content distribution. As a result, users' social interactions within the platform's live streaming chat rooms improved, with the average user time spent on live streaming chat rooms increased by 25.5%, and the effective live streaming MAUs increasing by 9.5% on a sequential basis. Content-wise, we organized the second season of Likee Star Idol content in Indonesia in February, attracting a high talented group of creators. One of the content winners, Isan Taro, was later invited to perform on Indonesian Idol, the largest national variety show in Indonesia. By organizing those type of large-scale events and collaborating with popular TV variety shows, Likee has effectively created a platform for new creators to gain exposure, raise their public profiles, and advance their careers, which in turn motivated creators to produce more high-quality content on our platform. Since the second half of 2020, also due to our adjustment to product promotion strategy, Hago's MAUs experienced some decline in the past few quarters. During the period, Hago's MAU was 13.1 million. However, Hago achieved meaningful progress in its user interactivity and product commercialization. Its revenue increased by 66.8% year-over-year, driven by a year-over-year increase of 28% in its paying users. Meanwhile, Hago's non-GAAP operation loss narrowed further in a sequential basis. During the quarter, in addition to launching a number of multi-user audio chat room games, Hago introduced a new social feature into its channel called Family. This feature enables users to establish a virtual family with their friends and supporters, and support instant interaction through text, audio, and video, thus satisfying users' growing demands for interest-based social networking. By combining instant entertainment with social interactions on Hago, we increased Hago's average time of live streaming session in audio chat rooms by 8.5%. Its average viewer time spent on audio chat rooms by 6.2%. Its user-to-streamer conversion rate by 2.2%, and the penetration rates of our feature channel by 10.9% sequentially. In conclusion, as we expanded our paying user bases across multiple products, we achieved solid operating and financial results during the first quarter. Going forward, we remain committed to further enhancing our localized content and social ecosystem and enriching our user social entertainment experience. With that, I will now turn the call to our General Manager of Finance, Alex Liu, for a more detailed explanation of our quarterly financial results.
Okay, thanks, David. Hello, everyone. As JOYY Finance Controller, I will talk about the financial results. Since a majority of our revenues and expenses are now denominated in USD, starting from January 1st, 2021, we changed our reporting currency from renminbi to US dollar to better illustrate our operational results. Please note that the financial information and non-GAAP financial information disclosed in our first quarter earnings press release is present on a continuing operations basis, unless otherwise specifically stated. After the deconsolidation of Huya, the company accounts for our investment in Huya as an equity measured investment and applies the equity measured accounting 1 quarter in arrears to enable us to provide financial disclosures independent of the reporting schedule of Huya. Also, as the sale of YY Life was substantially completed on February 8, 2021, with certain customary matters to be completed in the near future, the historical financial results of YY Life are reflected in the company's consolidated financial statements as discontinued operations accordingly, starting from the first quarter of 2020. During the first quarter of 2021, we maintained our strong growth momentum and delivered robust financial and operating results. Our total net revenues for the first quarter increased by 88.1% year-over-year to $643.1 million from $342 million in the same period of 2020. In particular, our live streaming revenues for the first quarter increased by 95.6% year-over-year to 614.1 million, driven by live streaming revenues growth from Bigo. Other revenues in the first quarter increased by 3.6% to $29 million. Cost of revenues for the first quarter increased by 76.5% year-over-year to $442.9 million. Revenue sharing fees and content costs increased to $282 million in the first quarter from $126.3 million in the same period of 2020, which was in line with the increase in live streaming revenues. Bandwidth costs decreased to $29.5 million from $33.2 million in the same period of 2020, primarily related to the company's improved efficiency and the termination of bandwidth usage for users in India after its measures to block certain Chinese mobile apps in late June 2020, partially offset by the continued user base expansion outside India. Gross profit increased by 119.8% year-over-year to $200.2 million. Gross margin in the first quarter of 2021 improved to 31.1% from 26.6% in the same period of 2020. Operating expenses for the first quarter increased to $279 million from $206.3 million in the same period of 2020. Among the operating expenses, our research and development expenses increased to $87 million in the first quarter from $69.1 million in the same period of 2020, as part of the company's efforts to enhance its research and development capabilities. Sales and marketing expenses increased to $137.4 million in the period from $113.9 million in the same period of 2020, primarily due to the company's increased efforts in sales and marketing activities in the global markets. Our GAAP operating loss for the first quarter was $73 million from $113.9 million in the same period of 2020. Operating loss margin for the first quarter was narrowed to 11.4% compared to 33.3% in the same period of 2020, primarily due to narrowing operating loss of Bigo. Our non-GAAP operating loss for the first quarter, which excludes share-based compensation expenses, amortization of intangible assets from business acquisitions, as well as impairment of goodwill and investments, and gain on disposal of subsidiaries and business, decreased by 57.2% to $29.7 million, compared to $69.3 million in the same period of 2020. Non-GAAP operating loss margin for the first quarter was narrowed to 4.6% from 20.3% in the prior year period. GAAP net loss from continuing operations attributable to controlling interest of JOYY in the first quarter of 2021 was $87.3 million, compared to $62.3 million in the same period of 2020. Net loss margin was 13.6% in the first quarter of 2021, compared to 18.2% in the corresponding period of 2020. Non-GAAP net loss from continuing operations attributable to controlling interest of JOYY was $24.1 million in the first quarter, compared to $64.5 million in the same period of 2020. Non-GAAP net loss margin was narrowed to 3.7% in the first quarter of 2021 from 18.9% in the same period of 2020. Notably, BIGO has achieved a positive non-GAAP net income for the first quarter of $9.5 million, with non-GAAP net margin improved to 1.6% from negative 7.9% in the prior year period. Diluted net loss per ADS in the first quarter of 2021 was $1.13 compared to $0.81 in the same period of 2020. Non-GAAP diluted net loss per ADS was narrowed to $0.3 from $0.81 in the same period of 2020. In addition, in accordance with our quarterly dividend plan approved on August 11, 2020, and on November 16, we will be distributing a dividend of $0.51 per ADS for the first quarter of 2021, which is expected to be paid on June 28, 2021 to shareholders of record as of the close of business on June 18, 2021. Also, we would love to provide an update to our execution of the share repurchase program announced on May 2020, and which the company may repurchase up to $300 million of its shares till August 2021. As of March 31st, 2021, the company had repurchased approximately $196.8 million of its shares. As mentioned in David's speech, we will continue to invest in business development initiatives to further expand our global market reach, cultivate our highly engaged user community, and augment our high-quality content offerings. We will also actively explore other ways to maximize shareholder value. For the second quarter of 2021, we expect our net revenues to be between $645 million and $663 million, excluding the revenue contribution from HUYA and YY Live in the same period of last year, representing a year-over-year increase between 36.2% to 40%. We currently have limited visibility surrounding the COVID-19 epidemic's long-term impacts and the geopolitical uncertainties on our business and the markets in which we operate. Therefore, this forecast only reflects our current and preliminary views on the market and operational conditions, which are subject to change. Okay, that concludes our prepared remarks. Operator, we would now like to open up the call to questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. For the convenience of everyone on the call, please ask one question at a time. If you wish to ask more questions, please rejoin the queue. Also, when asking a question, please state your question in Chinese first, then immediately repeat your question in English. Thank you. Our first question comes from Alex Poon at Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
早上好，薛林总 Alex Jane， 你们好，谢谢接受我的提问。我第一个问题是想问一下，最近市场有一些传闻，Bigo 的高层是有一些变动，所以想请教一下这个真实的情况，以及这个对你们的业务有什么影响？第二想问关于 Bigo 在一些你们主要的运营的主要的国家一些运营的情况，比如说这个用户增长、粘性、付费情况，谢谢。Thanks for taking my question. My first question is regarding there is some rumors about the management change at Bigo level. So would like to understand the actual situation and is there any impact on operation? My second question is regarding the Bigo key operating regions, key operating countries, about the user growth, user retention, and paying ratio, etc. Thank you very much.
对，我想这个回答一下你的问题，就是第一个，在这个过去的这个12个月里边 ，Bigo 确实经历了一些的这个人员变动。对，这个是我们为了更好的这个实现公司的一个长期战略进行的一些团队调整，然后呢，希望能够满足业务发展的这个需求。对，然后这个我们有一些不变的这个东西，第一个就是说，我们认为这个 Bigo Live 在这个未来的这几年内还是能够做出4个到5个以往 YY 的这个营收规模的这个地区的这个目标实际上是没有改变过的。对，而且我们这个越来越有信心认为我们有很大的市场空间可以做到。第二个呢，我觉得短视频的业务呢 Likee 的业务呢，我们进行了更大的一些调整。对，我们认为就是说Likee 这样的业务靠推广拉动，然后这个抢占蓝海国家的这个时代已经结束了。对，所以呢，我们这个大力的收缩了这个 Likee 的这个广告投入。对，然后呢，把我们的目标呢，把我们的业务呢，从一个这个基本上以纯技术运营为纯技术推动为主的一个业务，要转变成为一个技术推动和运营辅助两个都很重要的这样的一个运营形式的这个业务。简而言之呢，就是我们要推动这个内容运营本身在业务中的这个比重，以此呢来这个推动更高质量的内容和更优质的这个创作者在社区里的这个留存和那个成长。对，所以呢这个会使得我们这个在未来的这个策略方面有一些比较大的改变。对，然后呢 Bigo 已经是一家5年的这个公司了，整个的业务呢其实运营都比较成熟，经过了这个过去的一段时间的这个快速发展和这个规模的扩张，我们也集聚了大批的这个优秀人才。对，希望我们在未来的这个时间内呢，能够把人才的这个选拔、培养、迭代和管理都做得更加成熟，也使得未来的团队呢，我们会更偏向于这个专业化、国际化和这个在这个当地的本土化的这个价值方向去打造，然后根据这个战略的方向和业务的需求，这个自我迭代。
Hi, this is David. Let me answer your question. In the past 12 months, Bigo did have some personnel changes. Such changes were made to better execute our long-term strategy and satisfy the evolving needs of business development. But what remains unchanged was our conviction and confidence in the global market potential. As mentioned before, we believe that Bigo Live still has 4 or even 5 times potential of YY Live's revenue in the near future. We believe that the global market potential is still unlimited for us to gradually exercise and execute in the following few years. As for Likee, there would be some strategy changes. As I mentioned in my prepared remarks, we have reduced our spending on advertising and prioritize our resources towards content ecosystem and our social community. We believe that the prior model of trying to seize more market share by aggressive advertising spending has to end. Previously, our business was more driven by our advantage in the technology sector. Going forward, we'd love to combine our technology advantage together with our operation advantages. Via that, we would love to gradually prioritize our resources in the content ecosystem, whereby we introduce more high-quality content creators and more premium contents into our content pool and try to improve the retention rate and also our content offerings via localized operations. So I think that for Bigo, it is already a company with 5 years history, and its business operations over the past few years have become more mature. As Bigo grows in scale and revenue, we seek to further establish a more mature system to recruit, develop, and manage our talents. Going forward, we will continue to recruit more talents with technology expertise, global vision, and also local acumen, and further develop our team to better achieve our long-term business goals.
Our next question comes from Daniel Chen at JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
早上好，管理层，谢谢接受我的问题啊。我就一个很快的想问一下，我们跟这个百度关于这个 YY 语音收购这个的进展，谢谢。My question is related to the Baidu deal. So could management provide the latest update on your transaction with Baidu on the YY Live? Thank you.
关于这个百度的这个 deal 呢，我们没有新的这个消息披露。对，公司在这个今年的2月7号和3月9号2次其实披露过公告，说我们已经基本完成出售，目前尚有部分事项仍在继续推进，如果有后续的进一步的进展，我们会根据证券法相关的规定进行披露。
This is David. Regarding the latest updates of Baidu, we don't have any new information. As mentioned and disclosed in the SEC filings on February the 7th and March the 9th, we have substantially completed the sale of YY Live to Baidu. There are still some customary matters that are still in progress. For further information, it will be disclosed when and as required by applicable security law. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Thomas Chong at Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hi, Thomas.
还有利润率呢，未来的方向可以分享一下吗？谢谢管理层。Thanks management for taking my questions. My question is about the cost side. Can management share about the content cost trend as well as the OpEx and how we should think about the margin trend going forward? Thank you.
OK， 谢谢 Thomas。我来回答一下。本次这个投放策略的调整主要是对投入资源的一个重新的配置会有一部分广告投放的资源被投入到产品的研发迭代、内容生态以及活动运营当中去。之前我们曾多次提过Bigo Live 产品本身已经实现盈利，随着其他产品线的逐步变现， Bigo 板块整体的营收规模持续扩大。我们认为经营效率将有机会稳步提升，渠道的支付成本、带宽成本等方面的规模效应也将逐渐的显现。本季度 Bigo 板块已经实现整体的盈利，这就是一个比较好的印证。那么全年来看的话，我们认为 Bigo 板块将有机会在2021年的年度实现这个微幅的盈利。
This is Alex. For clarification, the adjustment on product promotion strategy was mainly about prioritizing the allocation of resources. It means that the reduced spending on advertisement will be mainly redirected to product research and development, our content ecosystem, and also other localized operational activities. In terms of profitability trend, as mentioned previously, Bigo Live itself is already profitable. With the steady progress in terms of product monetization across other products, we believe that the operating margin of the whole Bigo segment will gradually improve, and given the economy of scale, we should be able to achieve more operating leverage on various expenses and cost items such as payment channel costs, bandwidth costs, etc. The fact that Bigo's non-GAAP net margin turns positive this quarter marks a good start. So if we look at the full year, I think we should be able to achieve low single-digit non-GAAP net margin for Bigo as a whole. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Tian Hu at TH Capital. Please go ahead.
David, 管理层早上好，我有两个比较短的问题，一个呢就是实际上我们海外用户人已经很多了，然后这个年度各方面也还都不错。那么除了这个现在的这个直播，我们有没有其他的一些变现的办法比如说广告，或者说还有一些就是前面几个 earning call 协林总提到过一些新的业务，能不能把这个新的变现和新的业务给大家介绍一下再有一个就是我也看了现在在地缘政治方面好像都是比较的敏感那么我们现在作为一个中国的公司出海把我们一些的这个怎么说呢商业模式业务这个在海外去运营，那会不会遭到一些海外这个监管系统的这些监管，比如说直播短视频我翻译一下吧So as Bigo is well developed in overseas and more users and user participation, I wonder if we have other ways to monetize this group of people, and also such as advertising. Also, in the last several calls, David, you mentioned about the new business, and I wonder if you could give us some clarification or updates on those new business. That's number one. Number two is about geopolitics. I do see more sensitivity around geopolitics. So as a Chinese company to go overseas and operate in other countries, do you foresee any potential regulatory pressure on either live streaming or short video? Thank you. That's my two questions.
好，谢谢你的问题。我想第一个就是说关于这个其他收入的这个问题，我觉得第一个我们认为这个直播收入本身是一个非常好非常健康的这个收入，在未来的几年内我们都能够看到这个很不错的这个增长的空间。然后呢第二个呢，其实我们也在积极的探索广告的收入，但是呢广告的收入其实在这个海外市场广告收入实际上是有一定的困难的。对，第一个就是说我们能够做到一定规模的广告收入相对来讲比较简单，但是呢如果要把广告收入作为公司的主要收入来源的话，是有非常大的挑战的。对，过去大家也都知道，就是说因为在海外做广告业务比较依赖于 Facebook 和 Google 两个平台。对，如果你想做成一个独立的广告平台的话，你的这个 sales 的这个投入的规模实际上是一个非常大的规模。 对，然后应该都是招几万的 sales 才能够有可能这个提供足够的这个广告来源，所以呢，这个将是一个相对比较漫长的一个过程。另外一个呢，就是说我们对这个电商业务的这个兴趣其实会更大一些，因为中国制造业在未来的这个能可见的这个年代，还是这个有一定的这个领先性和效率的领先性和质量的领先性的。对，所以呢，我是觉得这个以全球贸易为核心，推动这个优质商品的这个全球流通，实际上是有更多的这个市场机会的。要问题。
In terms of our other source of revenue, first of all, I'd love to clarify that we still believe that live streaming is a very healthy and promising monetization tool, and you will continue to see decent growth coming from live streaming monetization in the coming few years. As for advertising, we have been actively exploring in this sector as well, but we need to admit that even if we can achieve a certain scale from our global advertising revenue, it would still be very challenging for anyone to try to make advertising as a primary source of our revenue. You probably know that in the whole industry, we need to rely on Google and Facebook, who are the two dominant platforms in terms of advertising. And if you would like to start an independent platform, you need very heavy investment into sales and marketing, probably hiring tens of thousands of sales and marketing staff to make sure that you've got sufficient source of sales of advertising customers. So we do not see that would be achieved within a short period of time. It's a more long-term and gradual process. But we do have higher interest in cross-border e-commerce. As I mentioned in our previous earnings calls as well, we still believe that over the coming few years, we do see that China's manufacturing still enjoys competitive advantages, both in terms of supply chain efficiency and also product quality. So we still love to participate in facilitating global trade and help to improve efficiency in such process. Thank you.
对，另外一个就是这个监管的问题。对，然后呢，这个监管实际上是我们这个一直以来是非常重视的一个领域。对，然后我们这个从公司这个 Bigo Live 这个业务从开始这个就是立足于这个海外，立足于全球化，所以呢，我们其实对这个地缘政治啊，还有各地的这个本地每个国家不同的要求啊，都是这个非常谨慎、非常尊重的。对，所以呢，我们其实一开始就为了这个在全球化运营做了非常多的一个准备。对，包括这个我们的这个分地区的这个运营技术部署能力，还有呢这个从技术上来讲呢，我们把这个每一个数据保留在不同的国家。对，然后这些都是我们这个很早就做了非常多的这个努力来做的事情。另外一个呢，我们也还会这个在每个国家和地区都聘用更多的本地员工，通过本地员工的这个工作，把更多的这个本土化的业务按照本土化的这个需求做起来。这是我们的一个这个基本的一个准则。对，我们在全球的员工应该是有几千人了。对。然后这个目前呢，这个我们可以看到的就是从这个2020年这个和今年第一季度的数字呢，我们也看到就是说我们在欧洲、东太平洋地区、中东地区，还有新兴国家的地区呢，我们的这个收入都已经获得了非常快的增长。所以呢，我们对单一地区的这个依赖度呢，已经 这个大大降低了。所以呢，我们会根据未来的这个国际形势的发展呢，灵活机动的调整这个用户的这个投入和这个运营的策略，努力的把这个地缘政治的风险降到最低。
谢谢谢林总。
For geopolitical risk, I think that the company has emphasized and have been well prepared in that sector. Since day one, we incorporated the company in Singapore and also have discreet and strictly abide by the policy and regulatory requirements of each region. In terms of our server network, we are also well distributed across the globe with data stored locally in different countries. And we have been hiring a lot of local employees. Currently, our local employees total number has reached exceed several thousand. So I think that we will continue to make sure that we stand by the policies and regulations of each local market that we operate. And you also can see that in 2020 and in the first quarter of this year, as we penetrate into multiple markets such as Europe, Eastern Pacific regions, the Middle East, and other emerging countries, the risk of a single region has been greatly reduced. We will flexibly adjust our user expansion and also operating strategies in accordance with the development of the overall situation to minimize the impact of geopolitical risks. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for questions. I will hand back to management for closing remarks.
Thank you for joining our call. We look forward to speaking with everyone next quarter. Thank you.
谢谢。
Thank you. That does conclude the call today. Thank you so much for attending. You may now disconnect.